Okay, let's get started with today. So I have done a meditation on anger before, and so I'm not going to talk as much. We're mostly going to just, I'll spend, a few moments recapping, and then we're going to go right into the meditation. So I'll have a little bit longer in our places. So anger, just to remind you what the Buddhist definition of anger is. So, first of all, I want to define aversion, because that's part of the definition of anger. An aversion is an exaggerated wanting to be separated from someone or something. So, an exaggerated wanting to be separated from someone or something. And the label of unpleasant is very relative and based upon the limited information. Okay, so what that means basically is that, if you're averted to somebody, so if you want them to go away from you, this exaggerating wanting, it could be that, this group of 10 people over here don't feel the same way at all. So that's what they mean by that. And aversion includes an aspect of exaggeration or projection. So a lot of times, like, the reason why we're annoyed or so averted to somebody, like go away, is because there's something to do with us inside. That they're like a mirror, and we're seeing some part of us that we don't like. We hear that quite a lot in psychology as well, and people don't really like that. No, I'm nothing like that person. But if you can step back away from that ego and realize that we all have bits that we like and don't like, and that we're all suffering, then you can take the time and the space to work through whatever issue that is. Okay, so that's the aversion. And anger is being unable to bear the object or the intention to cause harm to the object. And now in Buddhism, when they say object, people can be the object. We're not objects, but like we can be the object of meditation, of someone's anger, someone's aversion. So they define, Buddhism defines anger as aversion, but a stronger exaggeration. So instead of saying like, God, I really wish that person would go away because they're really unpleasant and I can't stand their behavior, it's more of like, they really need to go away, or I'm going to harm them. Like I can't stand their presence, I'm going to cause suffering to them or myself to get away. Okay. So that's a recap on the definition of anger. And just before we get into meditation, I want to share a story that really impacted me when I read it. It's a parable about a little boy who used to get temper tantrums all of the time, and he was just angry and throwing things around and destroying things. And his father said to him, every time you lose your temper, I want you to bang a nail into the fence outside, the wooden fence. So the first day, the boy had banged 37 nails into the fence. And as time went on, he put less and less nails into the fence, and partly because he realized that it was easier to control his temper than it was to spend time banging nails into the fence. And so he went up to his dad one day and said, Dad, I didn't bang any nails into the fence today. I was able to control my temper the whole day. And his dad said, that's great, son. Now, from now on, you're going to go to the fence, and every time that you keep a hold of your temper, remove a nail from the fence. So eventually, as the days go by, the boy removes all of the nails, and he went to his father again. Dad, come look at the fence. I've removed all of the nails. I've controlled my temper that well. And the dad says, right, let's come look at the fence. And he said, you see all of the holes in the fence, they can never be repaired. So remember that the next time you want to lose your temper. And I guess to me that just really struck home, because it is, especially if we look in significant relationships, family relationships, with romantic relationships, even really strong friendships, if we kind of explode and blow up and say things that we mean at the time, we do, otherwise we wouldn't say it, that we put these holes in the fence. And if we come back to that, the quotation that I have said before from Ken MacLeod, everything everybody does is because at that moment it makes their world feel better. At that moment you have this anger, this is so strong, this aversion to get away from whatever the object of the anger is that we say really harmful and hurtful things. Yet we're building this fence in this relationship that's going to have these unrepairable holes. And that's just a horrible way actually to think about it, but it's, it's a way that perhaps we can think about that before our anger becomes too great, too harmful to other people. Okay. So with that, make any adjustments that you need to do and move the body slightly. Whatever needs kind of moving around before we come into the meditation. Today's meditation, I'm taking an exercise from the Dalai Lama's book, Art of Happiness, which is an amazing book, very easy read. And something I really like about the Dalai Lama is that he says you don't have to believe in Buddha or any religion to follow his philosophy. So he doesn't write it in a religious point of view. And it's very easy reading. All of his books that I've read are amazing. So any book by the Dalai Lama I'd highly recommend. All right, and coming into your meditation stance, whatever that is, closing the eyes or finding a soft gaze. Focusing on the breath. So as we lengthen the breath, so we want deep inhales and exhales, imagining an open space. So as we walk into this space, our breath relaxes, it becomes bigger. Our minds become more open, more curious to explore a different perspective. And finding a comfortable space within this open space. Grounding ourselves in this reality. Noticing any of the sounds or smells. The feel of the temperature, or perhaps we're being supported by. Elongating the breath, really allowing the body to feel relaxed in this space. I'm going to recite the 4 immeasurables to generate compassion and kindness, loving kindness for all sentient beings. May all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be dissociated from the supreme happiness which is without suffering. May they remain in boundless equanimity, free from attachment to close ones and rejection of others. And coming to the breath, as we inhale through the nose, the belly expands out and away from the spine. Exhaling all of the stale air out, so making sure the stomach goes back towards the spine, maybe even pausing after each inhale and each exhale. Inhaling a white cloud of smoke. Imagining that the smoke is calmness, serenity, peace. Exhaling out a black cloud of smoke. Representing disturbing thoughts, unpleasant unpleasant memories, unpleasant emotions, unpleasant patterns in the head. Inhale, really filling the body with this sense of calm, of peace, of no matter what happens around us, we are the eye of the storm that is calm. Exhaling any disturbing thoughts, allowing them to be wrapped up in this circle, to be carried away. Wrapped up in the whirlwind of the hurricane. If the mind wanders, bringing the attention back. Being kind and forgiving ourselves, knowing that this meditation is a lifelong practice, that it takes time for the mind to settle. Any seeds that might be planted are a step in the right direction. Feeling the body relax, allowing the shoulders to drop. With an open and curious mind, imagine someone you know very well losing their temper. This person is so angry that he or she has lost all of their composure, creating very negative vibes. Even going to the extent of beating him or herself up or breaking things. Imagine this anger, imagine the tension that fills the room created by their anger. Imagine them throwing things, breaking things against a wall. No one is in the room, it's only them. Maybe notice how your body is tensing at the thought of this image. Not focusing so much on the reason why they might be angry, but imagining them just losing it, completely losing it. And it may be that this person in real life has never actually lost their temper like this, but it doesn't matter. They're creating this negative space, this very uncomfortable, unpleasant scene to witness. Now reflect on the immediate effects of this person's rage. Notice their physical transformation. This is a person who you feel close to, who you like, the very sight of whom gave you pleasure in the past. Perhaps they generally make you feel safe, happy, or comfortable. And now they've turned into this ugly person that you're observing, even physically speaking. Notice the expression on their face, the tension in the body. And the reason why you're asked to visualize someone else is because it's easier to see the faults of others and then come to our own. For the next few minutes, use your imagination to create this space of this person who's been really angry, throwing things, their face, how it must feel in the room, how it feels watching. mind tends to wander. A lot of times it does when we think of unpleasant things. Bring it back. It's only a few minutes of the day, and there is a point to this. To help us improve, to help us grow. Really sensing the tension, seeing the physical ugliness, the ugly and negative energy that's created by somebody being so angry. Now bring that visualization to an end. Don't forget the situation, but we don't need to remember this person or see this person so angry. Analyze the situation and relate the circumstances to your own experience. Understand that you yourself have been in this state many times, maybe not outwardly physically, but potentially within our minds. We have this anger and violence within our minds. And if we have this on the inside, this anger that we're expressing, and no doubt we're going to exude this negative, angry energy that's going to make other people tense, that's going to make other people uncomfortable. And recognize how visualizing another person being so angry is how we ourselves make other people feel when we experience this anger. Even you can imagine somebody, sometimes there's just someone really uncomfortable to be around. And they look angry, they have that, like, even if you're on the tube or bus or public transport of some kind, there's just this face, and it's uncomfortable. And probably in their mind, they're having this war of violence within their mind. And it's about, do we really want to exude that energy? Do we really want to feel that and share that with other people? So resolve to yourself, I shall never let myself fall under the sway of such intense anger and hatred. Because if I do that, I will be in the same position as the person we just visualized. I will also suffer all of the consequences, lose my peace of mind, lose my composure, and assume this ugly physical appearance. For the last few minutes of meditation, I want you to focus your mind on this conclusion. And without further analysis of the situation of the person that you are visualizing or any anger you feel yourself, simply let your mind remain on your resolution not to fall under this influence of anger and hatred. So once again, I'll repeat that, and then I'll stay quiet for a few moments as you reflect on it. I shall never let myself fall under the sway of such intense anger and hatred, because if I do that, I will be in the same position. I will also suffer all these consequences, lose my peace of mind, lose my composure, and assume this ugly physical appearance. Resolve the mind not to fall under this influence of anger and hatred. It's much kinder to exude an energy of love and compassion to others. Create a safe space in the world. Be a person and, oh, that looks like a nice person to be around, not even to talk to, just to be in the presence. taking the rucksack, opening it up, placing this resolve into the rucksack and possibly anything else you may have learned. I carry the bag of nails story with me in my rucksack because it's just so true and so sad that we build these or create these holes in relationships and other people when we lose our anger. And placing the rucksack on our back, knowing that the tools are there if we feel that we're starting to lose our temper. Just like the little boy, instead of having to bang a nail into the wall, holding on to the temper, focusing our minds on something different. And walking down into the reality that's in front of us. Gently opening the eyes, becoming aware of our surroundings, of the sounds around us, of what we're wearing. And before we end today's practice, dedicating it to somebody, perhaps an angry person, perhaps the person you visualized. Dedicating all of this work of self-improvement to that person in hopes that they too can improve. And setting this resolve to do something kind. Maybe sometimes we wake up angry in a bad mood. So finding one thing that we can think of to be kind to somebody else and resolve this, or keep our resolution not to lose our tempers. And I thank you very much for watching today. Any feedback or questions, please send me a message or write in the comments book. So have a lovely day, or as I always say, and if you don't, be the eye of the storm that's around you. So thank you very much for watching.